What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster tomorrow, and today I'm joined by my lovely fiance, Tori. Soon-to-be wife, a couple more weeks and we get married, actually. I'm really excited about that. But basically, today we're going to do something that was requested on the channel and by a couple of my teammates and a few other people that messaged me. I wrap hands for the local amateur and professional circuit as far as boxing and MMA goes, and a lot of people were saying, Al, can you show us your technique behind doing that for those sports? So I'm going to show you a small little series of videos. I'm going to do a boxing wrap that I always do, and then an MMA wrap that I always do, and then I'm going to throw in, maybe as time goes on, a couple other fun wraps that I've learned along the way. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. This is just how I do it, but I just want to emphasize this starting out. There is no right or wrong way to do it. And so long as your athlete feels comfortable, they're protected, and everything is good, you're good to go. And that's exactly what I'm going to show you today. This is approved by every commission that I've worked for, whether it be the New York State Athletic Commission or whether it be just local sanctioning bodies like ISKA or USMTA as well, which are both actually, United States Muay Thai Association and then International I think it's Sport Karate Association is ISKA. They do stuff for Glory Kickboxing. But basically, I'm going to show you all the materials that you need and talk about what you'll be using right ahead of time and what I use whenever I wrap hands. Starting out with, guys, the two most quintessential things that you need are gauze that you can get from anywhere. You can, most people I see, even professional hand wrappers, just buy them from Title Boxing. I don't like Title Boxing. I use Cutman for hire. I like their gauze and tape just because I've been going through them for a while and because they're run by some of the best cutmen in the world. So I get their stuff. And then the tape that you need, you can literally get it from your local supermarket. I literally got this from a place called Kinney's Drugs. So long as it has a serrated edge is fine. There's also branded tape out there, like this is Stitch Premium, which I like to use every now and again, maybe if it's like an amateur title fight or something like that and they want me to wrap their hands up pretty, whatever. But at the end of the day, this is a lot more expensive. It's like $4 or $5 a roll compared to this, which was $2. But what I like to do is get, actually, if I take all this stuff out, is I just get big boxes of this stuff called Hampton Adams, which was actually on Shark Tank, but it's a much larger roll of tape as far as, the amount that comes to it, and then on top of it all, it's much cheaper to get 32 of these, which is about $60, compared to if you were to get, I want to say 32 rolls of these would be close to 100. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to you. And then as far as tape sizing goes, guys, this is inch tape. This is 1.5 inch tape. You can wrap hands with the same thing. A lot of people think you can only wrap the feet with 1.5 inch tape. I'm telling you, it's very easy. It actually makes your job a lot easier. But at the end of the day, you can get any type of tape you want. My only advice, make sure it's a serrated edge. And the last thing that you'll need when guys are done fighting, or if you need to make adjustments halfway through, which I always do, you're going to need a pair of medical shears. I got these off Amazon. They are called Madison Supply, and they've been working for a while, but I think it's about time to get a new one. They're sharp for now, but they are a little jagged towards the bottom at this point, and that will happen when you use them. I've had those for about 5 years now, so it's time to get a new pair, but they're still sharp, which is good. So today we're going to do a boxing wrap, okay? And the first thing I'm going to show you guys is a couple of different rolls of gauze, because you're going to need about 2 rolls of gauze to complete one hand when it comes to boxing wraps. Now you notice I have 3 pairs of gauze in my hand. I have 2 smaller ones by Cutman for Hire, then I have a big one by Combat Corner. I usually use big gauze like these specifically for the padding, but since you guys are probably going to just get your wraps from Title Boxing or something like that, I'm just going to use the same roll, smaller rolls like these with Cutman for Hire. And all you're going to do is make a padding first. But before you do that, you want to assess your athlete's hand, okay? So in this case, Tori, even for a woman, has larger hands than most. So her hands are actually about the same size as mine, and I don't have small hands. The only difference is my palms are probably a little bit meatier than hers, but she's got longer fingers, wider hands, so I understand that she has a bigger hand here. So you need to adjust the padding you're going to make to protect her knuckles and her wrists and everything like that right ahead of time, okay? So what you do is you take 1 roll of gauze. If they have small hands, you're probably going to go around your hand, anywhere from 25 to 35 times, making a pad. If they're bigger, 45 to 50, or if they have big hands like Tori, you're virtually going to use the entire roll of gauze just for the padding. And I know people might think, Why do you need so much for that? Well, it's because in boxing, that's all we're doing is punching. So the way you make the pad, if I can find the tab here, okay, is you just start up high like this around your fingers, okay, and you just keep rolling down. And what I do is I go down to my knuckles, I go around here probably about, I'd say 30 times. You don't have to do this much, especially, I'm telling you, if they have small hands, it's not going to matter too much. From here, what you do, you just take it off, slide it off nice and gentle, boom, and you got a very thick pad right there that folds over like that, okay? And that's basically what you want for her knuckles. So what we do now, okay, before I even start wrapping her hands, I have her present her hand. I always tell her to keep her hand wide so I can wrap pretty easily. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start immediately grabbing by the base of her wrist, up top by her metacarpal bones, and I'm gonna feel her fingers out and basically try and see anything in her face, asking if like something hurts. Because there are some people out there, if you ask them anything hurt, they're gonna tell you no. You know, because, you know, it's a mental toughness that they just have. But in this case, I've seen athletes tell me that, and their wrists are purple, their knuckles are obviously broken. You know, so I asked Tori, any injuries that I should know about? Nope. So the moment she tells you no, always feel around, and if you see any wincing in her face, you know, stuff like that, you can feel the hand. Obviously, you know something's wrong. But in this case, at this point, now I just flex out her fingers a bit. Okay, I give her a little rub on the wrist like this just to make sure everything's nice and relaxed so I have good blood flow, and you don't want to cut it off, okay? So now what we do, okay, just make sure your hand's nice and wide for me, dear. So what I do now is I open up this pack, and what I do, and it's up to you too, and this part is a little bonus tip. This is called the tab here. Some people like to roll with the tab up like this or the tab down. I prefer the tab down. And from here, we're going to roll away from the thumb. The reason why we roll away from the thumb most of the time, rolling under the thumb becomes loose at the base and also puts too much pressure on the bottom. We don't want that, because almost all the injuries that you will see, in fact, literally all of them I've seen, top of the hands, metacarpals, the knuckles, and everything, because the bones don't break outwards, they break up. So we need to pressure and put some decent compression down here. So all I do in boxing, because obviously the boxing glove is going to be a lot bigger than an MMA glove, is I'm actually going to roll around the wrist quite a bit. And I get asked by different people, is there a certain amount of times that you're going to, you know, wrap around the wrist? And the answer is, you know, it all depends on what Tori tells me, and it also depends, guys, on like the evenness of the wrap. So I go higher up on the forearm here. I just did about maybe 10 or 12 turns of the wrist, and then from here I go up to the thumb. You want to go somewhat higher on the thumb so you can see this. Turn it for a second so you can see the thumb is nice and high. It's just like your standard training wrap. Then you go right from there on the thumb again. Now what I do that's a little bit different from some is I go right to the thumb to the knuckles like this. And I'm going to go around a little bit higher so I'm creating a bit of webbing for when we use tape later. And I'm going to go around the knuckles about 2 or 3 times. 2, 3, and then what I do is I catch it here. Now we put the padding on, okay? So like I said, we have this big piece of rolled gauze that we made. Some people can use gauze that you get from the grocery store. It's completely okay. It's up to you. I used, you know, the gauze that I bought. So what I do here is I want to sandwich that down. You see here how I'm sandwiching that down right into the fold of the gauze I'm rolling with? That's exactly what I'm doing, okay? And I'm putting that right there, a little bit higher on the hand as well, so the back of her hand is nice and protected, keeping those bones in place. And I want to secure this down, and you'll notice that it looks much flatter. That's why people think, man, that's a really puffy gauze. But the moment I fold this over now, okay, now it's actually pretty flat. Okay, so now I got that right in front of the knuckles, just like this, okay? And I ask her, and never forget to start asking questions like, Tori, how does this feel so far? Is it tight in any area?
Nope.
Good, okay. So then I go back to the wrist after I cover the top. And now I just basically make to my thumb again. Now I start basically a figure 4, figure 8 method. And I go around the knuckles like that, right below the knuckles, and then through the hand until there's an even wrap going around, okay? and I basically want that even wrap to continue, and I just keep this going the entire time, okay? Went around the wrist again, back to the thumb, back up to the knuckle. Now I gotta secure the knuckles again, just like that. Okay? And like I said, you know, like I've wrapped Tori's hands for fun a couple times. I know what she likes. She doesn't like things tight at all, so I keep things as loose as I possibly can. So I just make this figure 4, figure 8 method, whatever you like to call it, as much as I can. Around the thumb again, come back up, right below the knuckles, right on the knuckles, below the knuckles again, then through the hand. And now we got a pretty even wrap here. I'm probably going to go around the wrist one more time, around the thumb, and then from here I have her close her fist and keep it closed. Okay, so everything is nice and open. So I see if anything's sticking out. So there is a slight piece of gauze right here sticking out, so I have her open it again. Come up to the thumb one last time. Make a little X here. Most people finish off around the wrist. I think I did plenty with the wrist, and also you don't want too much pressure on the back of the wrist when you put tape on. Now I have her close her fist again. No gauze is sticking out at all now, okay? So it's all about making adjustments on the fly when it comes to this stuff. Just because, you know, if something's uncomfortable for her, right, that's what it is. But here, I'm pushing down on the padding here so I can see if it's lining up with her knuckles, okay? Because if it's not lining up with her knuckles, then what's the point of the padding? So at this point, her knuckles are completely covered by this padding. I'm going to have her open her hand, and then I'm going to have her close it a couple times, move her wrist around, just so I can see how the gauze feels. Does this feel comfortable to you? Yes. Oh, good. Okay, so it's nice and comfy. So now what I do is I take my tape, and I just want to secure the tab down towards the wrist, and then we're going to lace the tape through the fingers, okay? So I just take a piece of tape, rip it off, nice and easy. That's why I like the straighted edges, especially when you're wrapping a ton of guys. And I just put that little piece right there. Don't need to really make a big wrap. A lot of guys, you know, wrap the whole wrist. You know, I think if you put too much tape on the wrist, it's just, for me personally, it's uncomfortable. It all depends. Because I always wait to ask my guys at the end, anything else that you can feel. If they say, I want more on my wrist, perfect. I do more on the wrist at the end. What I do now is I have her turn it, and you can see how we have a wide open bar like that, okay? So I'm going to pull that up a bit. The palm always wants to be exposed. It gives proper support. So what I do here, guys, is when we go through the fingers, and some people ask me, why do you go through the fingers? It keeps the padding in place. Otherwise, the padding, since it's separate from the, you know, initial gauze itself, will fall out. But from here, I basically want to come here and basically measure right about there, okay? A little bit longer, okay? So that's your measurement when you're doing this for the first time. I've wrapped hands so many times that it doesn't matter. And some people will use the big strip of tape in between, but adhesive in between the fingers is really uncomfortable. So all you do from the top, put it right down the middle, okay? And you're gonna do that 3 times because it's gonna give you 6 strips for both hands. I'm only doing the one hand today, so then we just line that up with the other one, break that apart, and we rip it right down the middle. Perfect. Okay, stretch that out. Now I also want it a little bit longer because I like to make that bar nice and tight. So what I do is I take this between, and I'm rolling that to the other edge of the adhesive here, as you can see, okay? And from here I have some slack, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch the tape like that. I don't like twisting it. In fact, most commissions won't allow you to twist it. They say it cuts off the blood flow. Not good. You can't have tape over the knuckles except for this. It's going through the canal of the knuckles. So what I do is I feel it right in between, even through the padding. So I'm grabbing here on the palm. I'm going there. Now what I do is I have her close her fist, and I have her turn it. Perfect. And it goes right down, right there. Now I have her open it. Good. And now I have her close her fist while that happens so the tape conforms to that fist motion. So if she closes her fist again, you can see the tape's not coming up at all. Turn it, open, okay? Now from here, some people will debate, you know, oh, am I going to put it through, you know, the middle? And that's why we had a couple strips, because I already ruined a piece of tape. But happens all the time. But basically, people will say, oh, I go through the pinky first, or I go through this. For me, middle, pinky, pointer works the best. That's also just the way I do it. So then I, once again, slack, line it up with the knuckles. Don't ever assume, okay, that it's going to just line through the knuckles. I've wrapped hands 1,000 times. Always feel the canal of the knuckles. Close it. Perfect. Turn it. Nice. Good. Okay. Turn it. Open. Perfect. One more. Any tape in between your fingers? Very good. Always ask. Anything too tight yet?
No.
Very good. Okay. Let me do that again. Close it. Perfect. Turn it. And we go straight down. Some people make X's with this, and they, you know, I literally had someone say, well, it's because the X looks cool. It's going to be covered in tape anyway. Doesn't matter. Then from here is where I actually, now, same thing, I wrap away. And notice how I'm keeping a little bit of gauze here at the bottom. That's so I can get to the gauze easily if I have to. And basically what you do is just nice and evenly, you know, go around here, brace the top so it's nice and easy, okay? And I'm just going to go around the wrist to keep everything in place here, okay? And there we go, okay? I don't attack the thumb yet, okay? And let me just, because I going slow with it's a little weird. I try to go slow for you guys, but usually it's rip, 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 and we're good. So notice how it's just an even line of tape here. Anything too tight yet? Good. So I brace the top when I'm pulling it. Now from here, you know, some people will do the whole hand, go around the thumb, and go up towards the top. I do not. What I do here actually is I have her open it, and I go find that spot right beneath the knuckles. It's one finger, they usually say, below the knuckles is where it is. So I gotta line that up. And what I do here is I have her, I always fold that piece of tape down right here. I have her close her hand, rip it. And I always do that after. So now I know exactly where my marker is, okay? Like I said, I don't put anything beneath yet, primarily because, guys, if I put something beneath her, it's going to create too much pressure, especially in that bar. So now I have her open it, and I go right above the thumb. And it's okay to attach it to the thumb. That's exactly where you want it to meet, is the crook of the thumb. Okay, close it. Once again, having her close it, I just split the tape because I'm going slow. But happens all the time. But open, and I just go down the wrist at this point. Attach to her thumb. Always make sure this part is folded. Close it. Perfect. Open. I'm going down her wrist. Close it. This is called casting or splinting. Open. Close it. Good. Open. Close it. Good. Anything too tight yet? Be honest, nothing? Good. Okay, so from here, I basically have this all. I know what you're thinking. What about the thumb? I actually saved the thumb for last. But now what I do is, since I splinted the top like this, I'm going to create my X's to protect the metacarpals, okay? So she opens it, okay, and I go right here, but now I'm creating an X downward of the wrist. Close it. Good. So now that's folded. Now I come right here, okay? See how this X goes down? She's already closed it. I rip it. And I fold it. Now I come to the other edge, open, okay, right beneath, just like that, okay, folding that down, close it. So now I'm here, go nice and slow for you guys so you can see that X, okay, let me rip that for you. Can't rip slow. That's why I like the Hampton and Adams tape, because there's so much tape, I don't have to worry about it. So see how there's an X formulated right there, okay, right down there. So now what I do is I open again, okay, I'm going to go slightly below that X, and create another X. Close it, just like that. Open, slightly below, just like that, and I just create an X down the mark. Now, if she has really bad wrists, I'll do this about 3 or 4 times, but in this case, just one's fine. Close it. Good. I don't do it that way. That way I can rip slow and have it not. There we go. Okay, now, usually here, I'd say we're good as far as like protecting the back of her hand, okay? Now, in this case though, there are some people out there that will do, I think Citroen calls it the plywood effect. A lot of boxers do it, and they basically, what they do is they come from the top like this, down. I have personally done this wrap maybe twice, and in all honesty, guys, I don't think it really does a whole lot. Some people like it, some people don't. It's all depending on what you want to do. But there is an option to do that. If your fighter has really bad hands, I see a lot of people do that, wrap the hands a lot more. I personally do not. So now what I do, okay, is I have her open it one more time. Okay, and I just basically do the casting one more time in the same areas I did the first time. Close it. Good. Keep it closed. So now you just keep it closed, because at this point, everything's conformed. And you just follow that hand down like that. How's it feel?
Good.
Good. Anything too tight at the top?
Nope.
Good. And see how it's just making a nice even cut everywhere is the idea. Oh, good. And one more. Perfect. Okay. So now see how it's nice and even. Okay. But we're not quite done yet. What I do now, okay, is because we still got to cover the gauze at the bottom. We'll have her turn it this way. The gauze down here. Okay. So what I do here is I basically make, it's very simple. I just go from the base of the wrist. This is where we add more. And I go up. And like I said, I don't bother with the thumb until the end. And I will show you why in a second here. Okay. Fold that all down. Okay. I go up and over around the thumb. Good. Now I have her close it. I come up underneath, open. Just like that. I follow the tape. And I go around that twice there. Now I make an X down around the wrist. Perfect. Okay. Turn it. Okay. So sometimes there'll be a little bit of tape here. That's completely normal. You're just going to tuck that right under there. Creates a nice little bar, no tape on her skin. And you're basically done with the wrap. Some people will say, well, I don't like having the X going across. You just cover it. The other thing I might do if the thumb is bad, like is this too tight of the thumb right here? No? All good? Okay. If the thumb is bad, if she has a really bad thumb, what I do is I come right through here like this. On her thumb exactly, if I can get it. And then I have her close it. And now what I do from here, wrap away, down the wrist. And that is just about all she wrote, folks, okay? So all it is, guys, it's just basic white athletic tape with gauze. Her hand feels good. I just want to make sure that this feels good here. I have her punch my hand. Make sure she can grip my hand pretty good. Squeeze, squeeze, shake my hand. Right? Make sure that she can do daily activities wearing these, kind of like she's wearing winter mitts. Now, the only thing, too, that you might get here, and see, I'm even going to admit my fault. When I went around the thumb, I had a little bit on her skin, right? So that's why you make sure you ask. All you do is you just twirl that up, and you cut it off. Okay? So, honestly, I don't wrap big hands like this that often. I'll be completely honest. But we turn it over. There's a little bit of access down here, and all I do is just take that, and I just cut around. So now, completely wide open. Her hand breathes very good. Like I said, that tape under there created a nice little bar. Okay, so you see there, no tape to the skin at all when I come underneath here at all. And it's nice and even through. Everything's good. Now this is, like I said, where I ask her, is there anything I missed for you? Hypothetically, let's say she said the back of my hand doesn't feel that great. All I do is I just have her open it again, and I just splint one more time, and I go down here, close it. What about now? And maybe she says, yes, that fixed it, or maybe she's like, you know what? No, it's not great. Then at that point, you got to really figure out, okay, is your hand just busted and you didn't tell me this whole time? At the end of the day, this is a solid wrap, though. And what I got to do now, just with my shears, is you just iron it out. So what I do is I just have her open it. And I just go along the adhesive. And that just kind of formulates everything, packs it all in, keeps it nice and tight. Right on the inside. Good. Okay. Right down there. Okay. And now the final test. Will it fit in the glove? Right? I just basically have her put that in. Keep pushing. Alright. Close that off. How's that feel?
Good.
Feels really good. Okay? So it fits in the wrap. Everything about it is good. If I can get it off now. Good. So long as it fits with the wrap on, That's the most important part. Obviously, that's a training glove. But guys, this is a wrap that you can use for training. It's a wrap that you can use for your fights. A little bit of a more in-depth video than some of the videos out there. They kind of just speed through everything. I really wanted you guys to see how I do it. For me, I've never had a commissioner turn my wraps back. It looks very basic. It doesn't have to look beautiful so long as it gets the job done. I have had some wraps where people had me modify it so much it looks like a hack job. But at this point, Tori says it feels good. She's ready to go. And then what you do is you get a commissioner to go in, whoop, set it off, and you're all set. So, Tori, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited. Like I said, a couple of weeks we get married, so that's going to be awesome. And this is a professional or amateur boxing wrap. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll be right back with the MMA wrap.